Hey everyone, today I'm going to be doing a lash lift tutorial with an added bonus lash Botox application. So first we're going to start off by cleansing the lash area. Make sure you're using an oil-free makeup remover and then damp cotton rounds to remove any excess makeup, dirt or oils. Or you can also use lash brushes, but today we're just using a micro tip little applicator stick. Just hold the skin just slightly, just to make sure that it's that little bit taut, and a gentle pressure. And for a lash lift application, it's best to use under eye gel pads. This will just protect the bottom lashes. You don't want to get any product or solution on those because we definitely don't want to lift those up. So I'll get my client to keep their eyes open for a moment and just pop them on and place them down. Now these sometimes can move up into the eye because their eye's always blinking. So if you do notice them creeping up, just keep adjusting them throughout the service and always check in with your client and see how they're feeling with them on. How's that? Is that comfortable? Mm-hmm. Keep your eyes closed for a second for me. And now a tip to open these ones as well is you can almost bend it and snap it up, and then that will give you a lip to open it up. Now, obviously everyone's eyes are different, so they don't always contour to every eye shape, but you can get majority of the lashes down, and then you can actually place some tape over the top as well. And then just open again. How does that feel? Does that feel like it's digging in at all? No. So you may have to adjust a few times, but that's okay. Just make sure that you're checking in with the client, that they're comfortable, because that's the main priority. Now, I always explain to my client that this next step is probably the most tedious part of a lash lift, when you're applying the rods or the shields onto the eyelids and then lifting the lashes up onto those rods. It can take a little bit of time just to make sure that they're stuck in the right place and to separate everything. But let them know that after that, all you'll be doing is applying the solutions. And if you're always telling your client what you're doing as well, they'll feel a bit more comfortable as well, and they'll know what's happening during the service. So I'm just going to measure up some pads, which I think we're going to go with these small ones today because they will give a nice high lift. So if you're unsure of what sizes to use, always measure them out before you actually adhere anything onto the skin. Now this can be dependent on what type of rods or shields that you use. Some do require a little bit of adhesive to remain on the eyelid, but some don't require anything. So it will just really be dependent on what brand that you're using. And we want to get up there as close to that lash line as possible. Now keep in mind that the eye area is a very delicate area. So always just be careful of the pressure that you're using. How's that feeling? It's okay. Now, because we need this to be right flush along that lash line, obviously not everyone has the same shaped lids. So if you do need to maneuver, the best thing to do is actually pull up that brow bone and you almost wiggle that shield downwards. Now, because this is actually in the corner of the eye, it's not going to implicate the lash lift too much because there aren't any lashes that close to this end to place up on there. And then we're going to start to pop the lashes up onto the shields. So you can use an adhesive or a balm. And today I'm going to be using the balm for the lashes. I just find the balm I like to use more so if their lashes aren't too coarse or dense. And it's just because it's easier to remove the solution at the end of the treatment. So same thing to get them up on the rods. You can just slightly pull the brow bone or even the rod just up, and that will give you a better range to be able to lift those lashes up. Now I find it much easier to work in small sections as well, and be super careful with this end lashes. Sometimes when you're trying to lift them up, they can slightly tug or pull, and then the eyes can start to water, which is normal, but we want to avoid the eyes watering too much because it can affect the solution. And you can use a range of different tools to do this as well. You can use disposable items, you can use like metal tools that you'll sterilize and disinfect in between each client. It's really personal preference. I just always go in just with a little bit of water on a cotton bud or cotton tip and just get off that excess residue in any area that it might have built up. And then you would go over and do this exact same steps on the other eye. Same thing, apply that silicone shield on the other side. I like to use tweezers just to hold the very tops. Now for every client, this won't happen on the first go. So don't get stressed, just relax, take your time. You want to make sure that you get it perfectly along that lash line because then you're going to get a better result of the lash lift. So I'm not happy with that one, so I'm just going to go in again and remove that adhesive, and you can do that with just a little bit of damp water on a cotton tip. There's always got to be one. And if it does keep lifting, just apply a little bit more adhesive just in that top corner and just hold it down slightly. And then we're going to start to lift up the other side up onto the rods. So same again, you can just hold that area up. And now sometimes there may be some little ones that get hooked underneath. So make sure that you do get them out very gently. And I find that working from the very base or root of the lashes and then almost like wiggling up can help to get them nice and flat against that shield. Alright, and then check over any areas, make sure that they're all lifted up nice and straight. This is a good time as well to let your client know of the condition of their lashes too. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but always let them know how long you're going to be leaving the products on for. The longer you leave it on for, generally they will have thicker and coarser lashes, and then you would leave it on for less of a time if they have thinner lashes. Now my client has just a few little shorter growths, which is amazing. She's getting some new lashes coming in, but just let them know that the product won't have the ability to lift those ones, but they will blend in with the rest of the lash lift. How's that feeling? You all good? So make sure you have everything you need out and ready to go, and that will make the process run a lot smoother. And start your timer before you apply it. So you'd have your timer open, press start, and then have your little tool ready to apply the product. So we're going to be leaving this solution on for 8 minutes. And you just use a little amount and just dab that into the area. So you don't want to go too high up because you will damage the tails of the lashes, but you don't want to be going right on the lash line or the root of the lashes, because then the product may go into the eye and it will irritate the area. And generally, because you've applied it on this eye first, you would then remove it off this eye first as well. And always discuss with your client the importance of, processing times and why you have chosen the time you have. My client has good lashes, but they're not so much thin and they're not so much thick. So that's why we're doing a medium processing time, because as much as, lash lift products are going to help to enhance the eyes and the lashes and give you a curled effect without having to curl them, it's still a chemical process. They can be over processed or under processed, and that may cause damage to the lashes. So that's where you can advise them on products that they can use to help with their aftercare. So this is things like lash growth serums or lash oils, hydrating mascaras. Definitely no products that contain alcohol, because that will dry out the hair. Perfect. And we'll let that cook. Now this time is a great time where it's optional. You can place cling wrap or cling film over the eye area. You can place a tissue over the area, or something that's going to help to diminish the light, because then it will be a bit more relaxing for your client as well. Sorry, Candy's going off. So always let your client know that the timer will be going off so that the noise doesn't startle them. Or you can also have it on mute and just make sure that you're checking it more frequently. Now to remove, as I mentioned earlier, you would remove the eye that you first applied it on, and just with a damp cotton tip, and just brush from the roots upwards to remove. Now some products can say to not use anything that's damp because they don't want the water to affect the lash lift, but I suggest to definitely use water. The only reason is because if you're not using water, how are you removing that solution off the lashes? But completely up to you. And yeah, you can always follow the manufacturer instructions as per what brand you use. And then we'll do the same process on the other eye. All right, and then we're going to get that next solution on. So this works very similar to the first step. Now, what we can see here is just a little bit of the lashes that are lifting up. Now, generally it doesn't matter too much because the lashes have been lifted, but you can place them up again with the balm. Completely up to you. Doesn't matter too much because they have already been lifted. Now we're going to get that timer going again. So this one stays on for a lot less than the other. But same again, it will be dependent on the products that you're using and how long they're required to stay on. So we're going to start from that first eye again. Now this one you can use slightly more product and you place it all over the lashes or further up the lashes. I generally try to avoid putting anything on the very tips of the lashes only because they're a lot thinner than the rest of the area. Therefore, if you're putting products on them, it can cause them to become damaged quite quickly. And same again, checking with your client, make sure that they're okay. How's everything feeling? You're all good, Candice. And then repeat on the other eye. So you'd leave that timer on. Generally for shorter processing lash lifts, you can still offer things like scalp massage or hand massage. I personally don't offer them for the shorter lash lifts that I perform on clients. I offer them for the longer treatments because you have a longer processing time, therefore you have a longer time to massage the scalp. But still nice too, so that's definitely an option that you can add in. So the timer's going to go up. And same thing again, you want to go off and remove that product with a damp cotton bud, cotton tip, just in that upwards direction. And you want to make sure that this is really thoroughly removed because you don't want to leave any product in the area that can cause anything to keep processing. And then we're going to tint the lashes. So we're going to go in with a blue-black color because that is one of the deepest shades for a lash tint color. Also really helps to enhance the eye color just with the contrast. So we're going to get that mixed up. And you want this mix so it's that smooth, even, consistent texture. It's almost like you're whipping it up. Now you don't actually require a lot of tint for the lashes. This is probably way too much that I have mixed up. So avoid doing that so that you're not wasting product. Now it's completely normal if the lashes have started to almost pop off the rods. It's because we've used a lot of water, so obviously there's nothing holding them up in place. But as you can see that they've like popped down, they're already quite lifted. So we're going to get some really nice results. Same thing again though, you can hold up slightly and pull your finger along that rod just to make sure that you get as much coverage on the lashes. And more so particularly the tips you want to cover too. Generally the tips of the lashes are always that little bit lighter. Now tinting the lashes, generally you can leave on for around up to 15 minutes, but because we've done a lash lift, the lashes become much more porous. So the color will actually dye the lashes much quicker. So 5 minutes is generally long enough. So the timer will be going off again. You can always stop it before it does go off as well. And again, you'll be removing the tint with a damp cotton bud or cotton tip. And now it's time for our added lash Botox. So this step is an add-on as well. So you don't always have to include it with your lash lift services, but generally it is advisable. Not only will it be more money for you, but it's definitely going to help the client's lashes and their health of their eyelashes. So this is packed full of vitamins and minerals, even keratin in there to help with the rebuilding of the structure of the hair. So because we've done something that breaks down the bonds of the hair, this is going to help to rebuild it and make sure that the lashes stay nice and healthy and strong. So apply that similar to like what you've done with the other steps and solutions. It may be a little bit trickier because some of the lashes have obviously popped off the shields, but just run that right through them, get a really good coverage. So this is like similar to putting a mask in your hair. So you would leave this for around 5 to 10 minutes. And we're going to pop that timer on again.
5 minutes later.
And then that timer will go off again, so you can stop it before it does. Now, I like to remove the excess residue with a dry cotton bud and then remove the remaining with a damp cotton bud. And you'll see a little bit more of that tint residue coming off as well, which is normal because it's also coming off the silicone shield too. And then go in with those damp cotton buds. Now, anytime you're removing the shields, so you'll see that they'll start to come a little bit loose. Just be really gentle because the adhesive might actually pull on the lid line. So just work it little bit by little bit. Even getting under there with a damp cotton bud. Now, I like to pull the eye up, so I feel like you get a better range of getting any residue that might be on that inside of the lid line. And then you can slowly peel away that lash pad. And then we'll repeat the same thing on the other side. Now this one we did have a little bit more difficulty with adhering it onto the eyelids. That's why it's been a little bit more difficult to remove. And you may have to go back again because sometimes you might think that you've removed all of the adhesive, but it can dry again and then become tacky on the skin. So always just keep an eye on that. Sometimes I've even had clients say that some tackiness can a bit later on, like when they're home. But just let them know that they can do the same thing. They can use a damp cotton bud and just rub it really gently on the area. And then we're going to go in with our last step, which is like your step 3. And this will just be an aftercare serum just to help lock in all that moisture of the previous mask. And I like to brush this through with a spoolie. So there we have it. That is our lash lift tutorial with the added on lash Botox. They're looking beautiful and hydrated, a nice gorgeous curl, and see how that tint really does bring out even the eye color itself as well. So make sure that you like, comment and subscribe and hit that notification bell to see more future videos. Thanks everyone.